Hello everyone, my name is Alex Dryzak and this is my Week 3 MPA 580 presentation. So this week I really looked at my code of ethics that I might want to pursue in the future, and one I looked up was the United States Congress, just as a general for all of them, not looking specifically at the House or the Senate, but just Congress as a whole. And the one thing it really stressed was that it knew when it was written that you would be working with a lot of different people, and it really stressed how important it will be for you to appropriately communicate with your coworkers, whether that be not being flirtatious, whether that may not be being aggressive with your language, but to be open and accepting to your coworkers and to be willing to learn and listen was a real stressing point. And it also bled into the constituents you represent as being willing to listen and be open to learning from them. And also in the top right I had the blue discussion bubble because there's so much conversations that are constantly going between coworkers, the people that are represented, and the other representatives from other areas. One other thing that really stood out that was interesting to me on this code of ethics was that it talked a lot about how a person working in this is responsible for the taxpayers' money and where it goes. And a lot of the ethical descriptions were about how to ethically spend taxpayer money effectively, efficiently, and to keep your constituents happy, which is why I have the guy in the bottom right really happy with the unlimited credit card. So then I looked at it from the religious side for a code of ethics, and the one I looked up was Judaism. I got the Star of David in the center, which is a big sign in Judaism. But what's interesting is the code of ethics are actually pretty well written for Judaism in the Torah, which is on the left, the Torah scroll. And it's tough to read in Hebrew, but it actually lays out this very interesting code of how to live ethically through God. And actually a lot of it was scientific from some of the new ethical updates I was reading about this. And a lot of it is through God, but it was a way to live your best healthy life through God. So actually some of the not eating milk with meat was so that you wouldn't get parasites in your food, but there was also this connection that you needed to have, or you were striving for, with an all power overseeing being. And what was amazing to me is that actually their ethical law was written into these Torah scrolls. So do the two code of ethics I just talked about agree or disagree? And I would say the congressional and a religious code of ethics more agreed than disagreed, because it is kind of a general. I didn't get super specific to where there would be a lot of disagreements. But the two pictures I brought up here is that both code of ethics agreed that you will communicate a lot with other people, and you need to be willing to communicate with other people to be a member of society and be helpful in society. Now, the one where there was a disagreement was that the Congress knew you were going to be responsible for taxpayers' money. For the Torah, there was a lot of very interesting, strict rules about if someone gives you a gift, you give a better gift. And it was almost like this, you're not going to spend anyone else's money. If anything, you're going to give more to them. So lastly, we look at the code of ethics that we studied versus the ethical theories that we've been studying in class. So I really looked at John Rawls and Robert Nozick. I really have liked their two theories. They've really stood out to me, and I've studied them a little too far, I would say. But what's interesting is these ethical theories really agree with the two code of ethics I looked at, in that they feel people should have liberty to pursue their goals and dreams. And you really see that in the Judaism side, that do as you will in God's image and go forward. And in Congress, there's the opportunities to grow and be promoted and get to know people and grow as a human being. And that's very well stated in the ethical standards that you're supposed to be working to improve while you're a member. And the only interesting difference why I brought up Nozick and Rawls was that because their disagreement is on how much government intervention there should be. And since I looked at a code of conduct that involves government, I thought it was interesting to see how they relate to the code of ethics for government, where they are stressing how important it is to represent people in the best way possible and spend their money correctly. So it kind of agrees with both Rawls and Nozick in that there should be some intervention, but there should not be a total amount. And that does disagree more with Rawls and agrees more with Nozick, in my opinion. So in closing, I thought it was real interesting to study how there are really a lot of agreements between the Code of Ethics for being a congressional worker and being a believer in Judaism. And it was also very interesting to see how they connected with the ethical theories we've been studying and how they apply those ethical theories in communication and the liberty and freedom to pursue your goals.